The possibilities using SharePoint Designer. Okay, we will be understanding. Okay, look, an admin is someone who is solely dedicated for the purpose of installing a SharePoint server, configuring it, okay, and then giving access to individual users and taking care of the server and its availability to its users over the net, okay. Whereas the developer is the person who is responsible, whose responsibility is to develop applications using SharePoint server, and he has also this responsibility of creating custom applications, okay, and creating data access, and that he has to do it automatically. And he has to also integrate SharePoint to other systems. These other systems can be Salesforce, Dynamics CRM, or simply Maxsoft Office. His role is also to integrate with the database at the backend, okay, and he has to make up for all these things which you can see over here. If you have knowledge of jQuery or JavaScript, it will be very useful for this particular portion, which is SharePoint, designing SharePoint master pages and site design. And the other roles, a developer does need to have a basic understanding of the architecture. Okay, so he is not supposed to know the process of configuring a SharePoint server, but he does need to know the understanding about the architecture of the SharePoint server. So in a SharePoint development, we will go ahead to also learn SharePoint architecture, and there is also something for migration of a SharePoint site from a previous version to a current version. Okay, and you should also understand the limitations of the system. And okay, yeah, I will forward the course content to you. Yeah, definitely. And this would be very beneficial if a person has a basic understanding of WCA. Okay, you have to also develop web parts, pages, navigations, fields, event handlers and lists. How are they going to be useful over here? We need to understand how are we going to have data access, or do we need to have client-side scripting over here? How are we going to create workflows? How we are going to use business connectivity services to connect to the database end, okay, and then there is search functionality. We need to understand how SharePoint has to be used for web content management, for enterprise content management, for business intelligence, and how security is going to be implemented into our SharePoint. If you are a SharePoint developer, then the basic course content for a SharePoint developer will feature these things in depth. Okay. First of all, we need to understand what is partial script. Okay, we will have the basic understanding of partial script after we go through the architecture, and then there is a SharePoint tool by the name of SharePoint Designer. Okay, this is a tool which is used by all the developers, and it's a very useful thing. Then we have something known as server-side object model. So it's not mandatory to be familiar with jQuery and JavaScript, but if you know the if you want to know how to change the look and feel of a SharePoint site, okay, there is actually in the market there is a requirement for SharePoint administrator, SharePoint developer, and SharePoint designer as well. Okay, so using jQuery and JavaScript will give you an additional edge of making custom changes to this design of a SharePoint site. Okay, the designing part. But even if you don't have a basic knowledge, we can share it while we are here in the class, so you can know. It's okay, not to worry about. I will let you know how to go about making changes to the developer or this particular design site of a SharePoint site. So that would be required with respect to the customizations of the look and feel of the site. Nothing much of more than that is required. Okay, so in the starting we will be understanding what is the formation model and the developer dashboards, what is SharePoint tools we are going to use, Visual Studio. Okay, are you using Visual Studio? And which version of Visual Studio are you using? Are you using 2008, 2005, 2010, 2012? Which one? Are you familiar with Visual Studio 2010? Oh, that's good. You are into Visual Studio 2013. So Visual Studio 2010 is basically the thing which is required for SharePoint 2010 development. Okay, and going ahead, you have to know about pages and navigations, how to create time box solutions, developing records, okay, creating list and handlers. I covered it in that particular part. This is a very important module of web content management and enterprise content management. Then we have to look for BI and SharePoint security. How about going for debugging using SharePoint 2010 and client object model, how to go about custom WCF services. Are you aware of WCF? Yeah, correct. Are you aware of WCF?
I was you.
No, that's not at all required. There is a very limited functionality of Visual Studio which is required for custom development. Even if you don't have any experience, SharePoint does have a very limited, you can see only selected features are required for development of customizations using Visual Studio. You can start right from the very beginning for this course. Okay, and basic knowledge of .NET is in fact required while going for SharePoint development. Okay, and there are lists and libraries. We will be learning all these, and then we will be learning about SharePoint development. And SharePoint development will have these.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yes, I'm with you.
Can you see my screen right now? Tarek, can you see me? Can you see my screen?
Yes, I see you. Yes, I see you.
Okay, fine. So here we have to also go through the security things where we will look for the claims and authentication. Claims authentication, wherein we will have our user ID and credentials saved in our database, and we will be using form services uh, to make some presentations. So, is there any problem hearing me?
Yes,
Am I not audible? Yeah, course is simple. Course is simple. That is not going to be an issue. If you want to learn, go for SharePoint development, it will be a good thing to go for it. Okay, being a developer, I would just like to understand what is your basics or what is your background into development, or what has been your experience in the IT field? What is your current profile? What are you working at? This is a quite descriptive thing. People usually go for only limited functionalities while working on a project. Okay, so they may be just working on web parts, they may be just working on workflows. Okay, depending on the skill sets of a person is usually given roles in a particular project. Okay, so I would like to know what are your existing skill sets so that we can go ahead and look for the benefits of using those skill sets into SharePoint development. Can you please tell me your existing skill sets? We are going to train for the very beginning. Okay, and our course duration is going to be somewhere around 20 to, I will let you know the course duration, because if you are into development, I will make it somewhere around 30 hours. I will be also looking for some in-depth skills. Okay. Yeah, we will go for everything. That's not an issue. The thing is, I will have to schedule it every way according to it. Okay, so Tariq, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Okay.
So,
So, yeah, tell me, what is your development experience or your experience in the IT field, in this industry? What
what
are
you,
the technologies you are aware of?
what's your question? Sorry.
What are the technologies you are aware of?
About the web designing, you mean?
No, not web designing, any kind of development work.
For me, I'm not developer. I am functional. Functional. I am working as a functional aspects, but the first time for me is for the SharePoint. So I am not developer. I am not developer, but I want to understand. I want to understand more about the SharePoint as a developer for developing, not as an administrator. So I want to understand what is the difference. Firstly, by what is the difference between the administration and the development. Then after
Uh-huh.
that, I will after I understand what is the difference between them, I will take decision. I will go to development track or the administration track.
Okay, fine. Let me show you what are the differences between a development track
Ye-
and an administration track. Okay, so let me see. This is a machine where I'm working. Okay, and this particular machine has a SharePoint server installed on it. So once I have installed SharePoint server, I will have something like SharePoint 2010 products. Okay, I will have a central admin over here. So right now we have this. My base operating system is Windows 2008 server. Okay, I have installed SharePoint 2010 on this particular server. So it's going to use a browser to open the server right now. It's asking for my credentials as an administrator. Whatever things you need to do to install a server, to configure a server, to allow access to a particular user, one has to do as an admin. That's the base rule of an admin. Okay, and whatever changes you have to do to the existing site, that has to be done by a developer, a SharePoint developer. And this is a tool which is called SharePoint Designer. Its role is to make custom changes on the site. So right now, if you look at this particular page, this is the page which is somewhat concerned with what an administrator actually does. Okay, he will go for managing web applications. He will go for site collections. Okay, I hope you know what is the difference between website. What is a website? How do we host it? And what is Internet Information Services? Aware of it?
Mm.
Hope you know what is an Internet Information Services. What are ports? And each and every services needs a port to be run on. Okay, these are the different sites which, these are the default sites. Okay, once we have the SharePoint installed, we have these three services running on the different ports. You can see this is the Internet Information Manager. I'm working on right now a Windows server. It's not Windows 7 or Windows 8 machine. It's actually a Windows server. Windows server is actually used to host a SharePoint site. Okay, so I'm actually using SharePoint 2010. And let me just go through an introduction for this. I hope an introduction will be very good for you to understand what are the basics for it.
So I will tell you, for the difference between the administrated or development, as long my understanding, for administration, who will give privilege to the users in the administration and manage the SharePoint. For the designer, for the development track, for the SharePoint designer who will design the workflow and the whole designing the SharePoint itself.
Yeah. So a developer is someone who is concerned with developing workflows, developing web parts, okay, and he may or may not be also working as a SharePoint designer, okay, depending on his role and responsibility in the organization. Okay, but a SharePoint administrator is not into SharePoint development, okay, and he is not at all required to look for SharePoint designing part. He is just required to manage this web applications. He is required to look for managing the applications, creating site collections. This will be looking for this particular resolutions. He is also responsible for monitoring it, taking backup and restore facility of this site, upgrading it, and actually a SharePoint, if the SharePoint is implemented in a big organization, then instead of one server we have multiple servers. So in the case of multiple servers, it's actually a farm. We call it a farm. Okay. So SharePoint administrator would be someone who would be responsible for managing servers on a farm. Okay, so let me just go through an introduction. So if we just
I will tell you, I want to ask you, Lokesh. If he is a developer, for a SharePoint developer, he must be familiar with some language like jQuery, like Java. Or if I'm like me, who don't understand, don't have familiar with jQuery and JavaScript, what he can do if he's going to a Java developer track? It would be easy for him, or more better for him to go to administrative track?
Yeah, so if you don't know anything about .NET, but he told me that you have been working in Visual Studio, okay. So for being a SharePoint developer, the basic thing is you should be aware of C# or any of this OOPS concerned programming language. C# is usually preferred, okay. So C# is a language which is used for SharePoint development work. It is a predominant language in this particular development field. C# is very much required. Without C# knowledge, it will be very difficult to understand development parts. And if you have SQL, then it would be very good understanding. You can have a very good understanding. C# and SQL, while we are working with the database, SQL knowledge would be a very good add-on because you will be interacting with the database, getting both data from the database and displaying it on a web part. So programming language required is C#. Okay. And what you can understand is SQL, MS SQL Server. If you have basic understanding regarding retrieving data, updating data in the data set, okay, or in the data table, if you just have a basic understanding, what is the procedure, show procedure, what is the view, then it's more than enough to understand SharePoint server. That's good enough. And as I was telling you, creating JavaScript or creating or designing part is restricted to knowing JavaScript and jQuery. That's the concern of designing part. They would like to have a very jazzy site and you have to change the look and feel of the site. That is all required. But for development purpose, what is required is SharePoint architecture knowledge along with C# and MS SQL Server. That's the basic thing which is required for all the development needs regarding to SharePoint. Okay, so
they are very good about you are good and that they are telling me the right thing. So for the administrative, so he is working more for the functionality. That means that administrative who has a understanding in the functionality more than the development. That's right?
No, actually the administrator is the person responsible for the overall running of the SharePoint server. Okay, and the SharePoint server may host multiple SharePoint websites. Okay, and he may allocate work to a SharePoint developer that this is the customization which is required over here according to the need of the customer.
But he will not do customization. The customization will be done by the developer for the SharePoint developer. That's right?
Yeah, correct.
So only administrate, that's all. He only administrate, but he submit if he have any customization, he will submit this customization to the SharePoint developer.
Yeah, correct. So people also have knowledge about SharePoint administration part while they are working on SharePoint development part. Okay, so but the basic thing which is required is to have the overall knowledge of SharePoint architecture. Okay, so if one has the knowledge of SharePoint architecture, it is very easy for him to understand how and where to make the changes on a SharePoint site. Okay, so that is something which is required. And let me just go through some of the
I want to ask you, you are in the market itself, you are in the market, in IT market. I think that SharePoint developer is more attracted for the market more than SharePoint administrative. Is that right?
Actually, in an organization, there can be multiple SharePoint developers, okay, but the number of SharePoint administrators is actually restricted because the SharePoint administrator can look or take care of multiple servers at a time. But going for developer need, it requires some kind of skill set regarding .NET knowledge. Okay, so usually there are people who are migrating from ASP.NET background to SharePoint development background. People who are usually into .NET development, they migrate from that particular background to SharePoint development background. So the number of SharePoint developers are less. There are also database administrators who migrate from database admin role to a SharePoint admin role, depending on the job opportunities in the market or the opportunities which they can avail. Okay, so that's the thing which is required of them.
I want to ask you another. I want to ask you another question. Are you have a recommendation for me to go through the administrative track or to the development track?
Okay. First of all, I would like to know your years of work experience in the industry.
For me, I am working as a senior system analyst, but in the functional aspects more than the technical aspects. But I have a good understanding about the technical aspects, but I am not working as a developer before. I am working as a functional consultant more than the technical consultant. But for me, when I go through the market, I found the market is attractive to the developer than to the administrative. For the development, SharePoint development more than the administrative. The administrative is just create the user and assign the user to give privilege to the users, and that's all. And make backup, make restore, as you said. But for the developer, it has great rule, because the developer must, as you said, must understand the .NET, and in the same maybe he has change request more than one time to do customization. So for that, I think that for the SharePoint developer is more attractive than the SharePoint administrative. And this is the second thing. And the same, for me, I don't familiar with the .NET environment 100%. So I am afraid to go.
That is actually not required to be fully familiar with .NET. Okay, if you know what is .NET, what is a website, okay, so you would be very well getting trained on SharePoint development if you have just basic knowledge about what is SharePoint website. Okay, so if you know what is a single sign-on, just a basic concept regarding single sign-on. Okay, what is an Active Directory? Okay, and these things would help you in.
I will tell you. I will tell you, Lakish, what you can do to me. You can do to me something. You will be very good. You put a table. Send me in a table the difference between the administrative and the SharePoint, and tell me between the administrative and development track, between the administrative track and development track in via mail. Send me via mail within a table. Do a table for that, and put the agenda administrative content with the development content into columns, and put in the third column the difference between them. And after that, do the requisition for the course, the requisition for the administrative 1, 2, 3, the requisition for the development 1, 2, 3. So I will choose after that what is properly for me to go through the administration or to go through the development track.
Okay, fine. That will be well done. That I will be doing so. So can I send it tomorrow? By tomorrow?
Yeah.
I'll have to prepare a document for making a comparative study about.
No problem. No problem, Rakesh. Prepare it as you want. You are a good man. I think that. I feel that you have good experience. That's very good that I'm talking with you, wallahi. That's very good that I'm talking with you. So after you finish the document itself, send it me back. Then I will give you feedback. I think this content of the which you have telling me, when I see it with my eye now, it is very good for me. It is not bad. It is very good. But then now, I am afraid to go to development track, and I find self that I am regret that I am go to development track. I must go to administration track. So if I want to go, I must first understand between the difference between them. When you have sent it to me, after that I take decision which SharePoint I will go, which module I will go through administration or go through development.
No, look, what we can also do is, while we are learning, going for SharePoint development, okay, we can also know the various basics about SharePoint administration. Okay, something like taking a backup of the system, restoring it, disaster recovery, upgrading or migration from a SharePoint site, one site to another site. We can learn about it while we also go for SharePoint development. Okay, most of the features which I'm mentioning over here, creating or configuring web applications, I can cover while I teach you SharePoint development. I can configure search in SharePoint search over here. There's also something for SharePoint search over here, extending search using custom codes. Okay, and there's something for business connectivity services in SharePoint development. And what is the feature only provided by SharePoint for business connectivity services? There is an overlapping role for SharePoint admin as well as a SharePoint development over here. Okay, so these things we can learn while we go about SharePoint development. Time is not going to be a restriction for me. My sole aim would be to let you understand and complete the objectives of this course. Okay.
طيب okay
So
okay
that would
for
be
for
my
طيب
sole
if I go through .NET, if I go through development for the .NET, I will face problem. The first problem for the .NET, because I am familiar with SQL. I'm familiar with SQL. For SQL, no problem at all. But for the C#, I am afraid about the C# because I don't understand very good C#. I don't understand the C#. So I am afraid to go, and I found the course is complicated, and I ask you more than one time what this syntax, what is the meaning of it. So you will tell me 1, 2, 3. And after that, must do practicing for it. I must do practicing in your server, your company server. So because if I do not do practicing in your company server, your company server, it will be very bad for me. So this is a problem which I will face for the C#. The C# will make for me a problem. But for the SQL server, no problem at all. For the SQL server, for me, no problem, because all functional consultant using SQL. Mostly of the, but not all using C#. Not all using C#, because for developer, he will use C#. For the developer, he can using Oracle development, as you know, SQL, DL SQL, form reports from the Oracle aspects, and for SAP, AB. So it is different from ERP to another ERP, and the difference from language to another language. Microsoft language is different. So I have understand what you are meaning, because SharePoint is Microsoft product. So I understand this very well. But I want to know, the C# will be used extensively with this course or not?
Yeah, C# would be used extensively, but I will teach you along the way. We can learn all the features of C# which would be needed for SharePoint development. Okay, so along the course we can also cover those aspects.
But Lokesh, be very simple with me with the C#, because the C# I don't understand it. So I know it is the basics of programming. I understand this very right. But I want to be with me very simple, because I need this course to me very simplified, not complicated. Because if it is complicated, I will tell you it is very bad. No,
there won't be any need. I'd also like to know the system you have at your end. Okay, what kind of system do you have? Do you have a SharePoint server?
For me, I have a SharePoint here on my desktop, SharePoint Designer.
Okay, that's a SharePoint Designer. The SharePoint Designer does need a connection to the SharePoint server. Okay, so we need to have a SharePoint server which can be installed. SharePoint server is a different setup altogether. We need to install it.
I have Windows 8, so it needs Windows Server first to install the SharePoint server or what?
No, that won't be required. I'm not telling you that is required. I will show you a demo on my own system, and then you can look for it. I will share the code which I'm going to use for customizations. Okay, and if you can do it on your own, then that gives you additional development, confidence in yourself. Because you told me that you're not that well prepared with C#. So while we go about making or doing some changes using SharePoint development, while you do it on your own, repeating the same task which you have done in the class, that will boost up your morale and your confidence. That is what I'm saying. So do you have an access to the SharePoint server anyhow?
Hmm. Hmm.
We can begin from the very beginning. Time is not an issue with me. To only the time slot I have, I can dedicate more than 10 or 12 hours a week. So I believe a month would be good enough to cover the syllabus. Sorry, are you there? I will let you know all about the SharePoint server over here. Now look,
So I will tell you now. I will tell you now to download the SharePoint 2010 Central Administration. What I can do?
so this SharePoint 2010 Central Administration is actually the thing which has been installed on the system. Okay, the actual SharePoint site over here is this is the SharePoint Central Administration. It is actually running on port number 12345. It's the default port which I've given it while installing. So this is my SharePoint Central Admin. If you look for the port numbers, it is the 12345. Okay. Then I have the SharePoint server which is running on the port number 80. The default port which I have over here. Still opening up. And then there's something called as Active Directory on a server.
السماعة شلتني. لا والله شلتني والله.
So while installing, I have to make these three users: SharePoint Admin, SharePoint Farm, and SQL.
So I
Okay,
must
these are the
have
two
you have here Active Directory. So I must have a Windows
server
server.
systems. Yeah,
Windows
but
server.
if you want to learn, but if you want to learn about SharePoint development, you can also install SharePoint on Visual Studio 2000, Visual Studio, on Windows 7, Windows 8 system as well.
Windows
If you
8.
want to learn
How
only
to
about
be Windows
development,
8?
sorry,
How it will be installed in Windows 8?
on Windows 8 we can install it. I will let you know how to do that. Okay, we can, if you have the setup for SharePoint, we can install it on Windows 8 also. I have done it on Windows 7, and I cover topics for installing it on Windows 7 as well. I believe you have a Hyper machine as well, Hyper-V machine. If you have Windows 8, there would be something like Hyper-V. Do you have it? A
No, I
virtual
don't have
machine?
this virtual machine, Hyper-V manager.
Yeah, there is there on a system as well.
I will install it.
Actually, it would be there. We can use it to have a virtual drive and install a Windows 7 or Windows 8 and then install SharePoint on that system as well, or we can install it on a base system, on a base operating system as well. So that is not going to be an issue. So you just need to have a SharePoint setup with you right now for installing it. Till that time, we can go ahead and learn about this system. Okay.
But you must send me what is the prerequisition to download to have the central administration,
To
SharePoint
have a
central
central
administration.
administrator, you need to install it. No, just let me explain. To have a central administrator, you need to install SharePoint on a server system. Okay, on a Windows Server system. Otherwise, you will have this particular site, which is a SharePoint site, which I have installed and configured. I told you there are web applications. There is central administration site, which is running over here. Then we have this SharePoint site. This is the SharePoint site which I have over here.
But how I download it? How I tell you what is the prerequisition to download the SharePoint SharePoint for central administration? What is the prerequisition? If I want to download it, I want to make installation and the configuration in Windows 8. What I will do?
To download it, yeah, you can either download it from.
I download SharePoint Designer, but not central administration. No, from central administration, what I will do? There must be prerequisition. What is the prerequisition?
You need to have a SharePoint setup for that. You have to look for these sites. I will let you know how to download it. Okay, and then we can install it on a system. Installation on Windows 7. You can look for this particular thing and learn about doing. Sorry?
Windows 8.
I didn't get you.
Windows 8, about the Windows 8. It can be downloaded in Windows 8? Only Windows 7?
Yeah, it can be Windows 7, Windows Vista SP2, or Windows Server 2008. That's all is required. Okay, but it should be a 64-bit system. Okay, and these are the prerequisites for it. Before installing SharePoint, you can download this setup. Okay, for a standard trial version, you can download this setup. Should I send this particular link to you? Or you can have a virtual hard drive on which you can install it. Okay, you can download this setup and then we can go ahead step by step to install the setup on your machine. All the steps are mentioned over here, but I would like you to just wait for the time. I will be there with you to help you install the setup. Okay, so just keep this with you. And download this setup. So once you download the setup, you will have SharePoint on your system. This particular thing. So you have this trial edition. You can download from here. And then you can set up your machine. I will let you know how to continue, just continue and just download it. It's mentioning that registration is required. You can register yourself on this particular thing on on Windows Server machine, and then you can download this trial version. You can have a Windows or Microsoft account over here, all that you need.
Okay, I have understand. I have understand. Yes, clear. Okay, Lokesh, I am it is very good to meet you. So you will send it me mail today or tomorrow, tomorrow or what?
This particular thing I will send you right away. Okay, I'm just trying to exclude this time portion, and other things I will mail you right away. This is just an overview of what all things we are going to cover in this course and what is our course objective. Okay, so this will be our course objective, and these are the things we are going to cover. So we can, while going for SharePoint development, we can also look for some of the basic things about SharePoint administration. And if you want to learn about SharePoint development, all you need to have is a SharePoint setup on a Windows 7 or Windows 8 system. Install it, and then we'll also install Visual Studio SQL Server on that system. Because SharePoint is actually a site which has its front end and it has its own back end. So look for this thing. While I have my SharePoint site, I have a backend in SQL Server 2008 R2, and there is a default instance of SharePoint which uses the backend for storing all the information which is getting uploaded on the SharePoint server. So while I log in, you can see that these are the databases which are used for running SharePoint on the server. The user profile service I was talking about, web analytics, serve services, performance point services, business data connectivity services, okay, the snapshots and all these things are kept on the server itself. We'll be learning more and more about it as we go forward. So we need to have SQL Server setup. I hope you have a SQL Server setup with you.
It is a SQL Server. It is a back end from. It is a back end for the SharePoint.
Yeah, correct. So you need to have SQL Server 2008 R2. Okay.
So it means that it will be SQL Server 2008 R2, and it will be a .NET framework, and it will be Visual Studio. To download the SharePoint, to download the SharePoint server.
Yeah.
And to be in Windows 7 or Windows 2003, not Windows 8.
No, not Windows 2003. It has to be at least Windows 2008. It will not get installed on Windows 2003.
It will not be in Windows 8. It will be in Windows 7 or Windows Server or in VMware. Maybe I will make installation from VMware.
Okay.
VMware. Yes, I will do it in VMware. So after that, I prepare this VMware. If you have this VMware, it will be very good. Submit it to me, send it to me, and I will I will work from your server. Work in your server if your company has a server access, so I can work practice on it.
Okay, I will look for the solution. Either we can go for working on I will look for some kind of solutions regarding that. What is the operating system you have right now?
Windows 8.
You have Windows 8, no? We will install it on Windows 8 itself. There's not an issue.
There is no issue? So, okay.
Look for, if there is any issue, we will look for a solution. But I don't think there should be any issue in installing SharePoint 2010 on Windows 8 machine. Let me just check.
Windows 8.1, the updated one, 8.1.
Just let me check. So what is it a professional edition? Windows 8? Look,
Yes.
there are instructions to install. There are instructions over here how to install SharePoint 2010 on Windows 8. Can you look for it?
Yes,
Not an issue,
you
we'll be
can.
installing it. If there are documents over the net how to install, we will be doing that.
Hmm.
So we can install it on Windows 8 machine itself. It's not an issue.
Okay, good, great.
Okay. So you can just go for the installation right now. Go for the downloading this setup right now. And what is the SQL server available with you right now? Which version of SQL server?
No, I not have the SQL Server. Not have, but I will download the SQL Server. I will download the
Yeah,
SQL
download
Server and download.
Yeah, download the SQL server, and you already have a Visual Studio. Fine, so
I have
get the
the
SQL
Visual
server.
Studio. I have it. Visual Studio. I have it. The SQL Server.
Yeah,
I
Visual
don't have
Studio.
it. I will. Oh. The
Yeah, so
.NET
get the
framework.
SQL
I
server.
have it. Yes.
Mhm.
.NET framework already installed with the Visual Studio. So
Yeah, if you have Windows, yeah,
mm,
okay.
so
So that is not
so
that we can get anyhow. We can get it easily from the internet. Okay, if you have an internet connection, you can download a .NET framework. So that is not going to be an issue.
okay.
Okay.
I will download it. I will download it. What about
Okay.
the also Hyper F? What is the many there is something called Hyper. What is Hyper? Is like virtual machine or what?
Yeah, it's the same way what we had for VMware. Okay, it's the same thing as VMware, but it's a Microsoft product.
What?
Hyper-V,
Many.
you can have virtual machines running inside your own machine.
Mm.
Okay, now look, how am I going to work on it? I'm just giving you a demo.
Yes, I have understand. Microsoft has do something called virtual machine called Hyper. It is Microsoft product. That's right. That's right.
I don't go for Hyper-V.
Microsoft has do program called HyperF, like virtual
Sorry,
machine.
that's
Microsoft
a virtual machine.
has do hyper virtual machine, like virtual
Yeah,
box, which Oracle has been like Oracle products.
no, I'm not familiar with Oracle products. I'm only familiar with Microsoft products. I'm so sorry.
No problem, Lucas.
Hyper-V is actually the same thing as we had VMware. That's it. To set up
Yes, it
virtual
is same
machines.
thing
That's
like
it.
VMware. Yes, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay, and
Mm.
I will be going for this development portion.
Lokesh, sorry for interrupt. Like, how long it will take the demonstration for?
So that's over for the day. Okay, I'll just showing him what all things we are going to do.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
No issues.
just a minute. So my course content is going to have our PPTs, okay, which will share with you the basic knowledge regarding how to set up a SharePoint server, what are the documents required over here. Just a moment, my system is hanging up right now. So we are going to learn all these things. We are going to learn about all these things while we are going to learn about architecture, security features. Okay, so our presentation is going to have so many things involved, and besides this, we'll be working on a system. So I believe your system will be well equipped for it. This RAM requirement. What is your RAM for your system?
RAM 2, it is 2 GB RAM, same thing, 2 GB, 4, I think 4 2 GB, 4 GB RAM, no problem.
Okay, fine.
4, I think I have 4. I have 4 GB RAM, and the hard disk, it is 500 gigabytes,
Okay.
so no problem at
500,
all.
it's okay. It's okay. So you'll be learning so many things. Okay, and hope we have a good time going ahead. Okay, so first of all, we'll go ahead with installing SharePoint on a machine, and then we'll start with the SharePoint development and the admin part. I will send you the document right away for this course content and a comparative view regarding SharePoint developer and SharePoint administrator with regards to its roles and responsibility in organizations. I will mail you a document tomorrow.
So I will waiting it, Lokesh. Okay, Lokesh. I am very happy for this demo. So I will waiting for the document today or tomorrow. So after that, I will send it to mail. Okay.
This particular course content, I will send it to you right now. The course content.
Yeah.
Okay. And the comparative study of SharePoint, role of the SharePoint administrator.
Lokesh, Jana here.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, just send it to Sunita or like info at Max Online Training. They will forward the same thing to you.
Okay, fine. I will do that right now. Right away.
Okay, and
so
just let me know once you done the discussion with Tariq. I'll like one more consultant with me. His name Dalal. I will introduce to him.
Okay, fine. Yes, so Tariq, do you have any other query?
Yeah, that I'll talk to, like my consultant will talk to you, Tariq, about the course fees and everything. They will mail you all the things. Hello, Tariq.
Okay. Okay, fine. Any other query?
No, thanks.
Okay, welcome man, welcome. Have a great day ahead. Yeah, that would be the concern for the consultant. Thank you. We should nice day too.
Yeah, Lokesh.
Yeah.
Is Mr. Shakla is with us. Just could you increase your volume, but we are hard to hear you sometimes.
It's okay, tell me.
Could you speak something loud?
Just a minute, let me get my headset over here.
Yeah, that would be better. some echo or disturbance is coming from your end. Okay.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, very particular. Yes, it's pretty good now.
Okay, so yeah, you can tell me your query.
Dalal, could you come out from your office so that I'll put a con call to Lokesh and with you, if possible? Okay. No, I'll call you on the same your number. If you want, you can left from the meeting. Okay.
So what is the issue with him? Any kind of issue we have to look for?
No, actually, I'll tell you the like situation. Dawat
Mm-hmm.
is from USA. We have a
Okay.
.NET projects ongoing now. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
he's
Uh-huh.
developing some projects on .NET
Okay.
with
Okay.
SSR, which is belongs to MSB, I guess. So I thought you are the
Okay.
right
So it's
person to consult with you. Okay.
fine.
So
Yeah.
he needed daily 2 hours of training. Sorry, job support, not training, job support. Okay. So this is what is requirement on .NET.
Okay. So he needs some kind of help regarding support job for SQL Server reporting services. Am I correct?
No, not for SQL Server. You need complete .NET.
A complete .NET.
Right.
Okay. And fine. So what is his background?
He's a consultant. He's a professional. He's have a I guess he's a project manager. He have a lot of projects with him. So
Okay.
we need to help out from the task wise, or like daily you need a 2 hours support from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Is that okay for you?
8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Okay. That's okay for me.
Yeah. So we need we need agreement for 2 to 3 months. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So that
Okay.
we will understand his requirement first, then we'll talk about it later. And what about this one? Sharepoint. How much we charge and how many days it will take?
Look, he's a complete beginner.
Okay.
Okay. And what I can see that for this development part, it will be over in 25 hours.
Okay.
Okay. If I go for a purely professional way, it
There are two other callers on the call.
the first part is regarding SharePoint server installation, which may take 3 to 4 hours in a day. This installation part takes some time. Other things I can go out and I have this schedule with me. So development part can be completed within 25 hours, and the SharePoint admin part can be completed within 10 to 12 hours. But this guy is actually not sure what he wants to go for, whether he wants to go for SharePoint development or he wants to go for SharePoint administrator.
Okay,
So
okay,
that we
Lokesh.
have,
Yeah, I went on mute actually. So I'm
we
taking
had,
into on the con call 1 minute on hold. Okay.
okay, fine.
Yeah, Lokesh.
Yeah.
Dana is with me now. Sorry, Shakul is with me.
Okay, even I am Shukla.
Yeah. Hey Lokesh, how are you?
Hi. I'm good. How are you, Dhaval?
Yeah, I'm doing good, Lokesh. Actually, I assume that Jana have given you the brief idea of what my requirements are. But let me give you my brief introduction.
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with this company, manufacturing company. It's like electronic components transformer from the past 18 months. And here we have an application on a .NET, specifically but we are more using the SSRS reporting services, where we using in a bit, we develop the reports and we just display the reports on a reporting sites. So, but the entire developments we are doing in a .NET, sometimes VB.NET, sometimes C#. Some web apps we are using jQuery, MVC, and ASP.NET and all, CSS, all this. So I'm pretty sure you're okay with all this technologies and tools.
Yeah,
right?
I'm ready with all the technologies. I'm very accustomed with all the technologies.
Yes, especially for the ASP.NET and MVC, CSS, jQuery, JSON, not JSON, but the jQuery JavaScript.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you okay with the C# and VB.NET both?
Yeah, I'm ready with. I'm more accustomed with C#. VB.NET is like using it once in a while, so I can work on it. I started with VB.NET somewhere back in my career, but right now I'm more into C#. So
Actually,
okay with it.
even I'm more into C#. The thing is, sometimes the client requirements are there, and they are since beginning they are using VB.NET, so we have no choice to follow that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the one point. Now,
Yeah.
back to the subject is okay. I'm looking for someone who can support to my application, especially for the SQL side. We are using SQL Server 2008 R2, which you just displayed on a demo earlier.
Yeah.
And sometimes we use the 2005 version, sometimes we use 2008. I'm not sure yet why they are using still 2005, but we have that features.
Okay.
Now, having said that, I have developed many queries and many features and all this. Like once we go ahead, you will have idea. Now there are some portions where I need some support help, especially with the reporting, especially with the SQL side. I'm quite familiar with the queries, functions, and views, indexes, triggers, but the store procedures, of course, but not have the depth knowledge. Like to be precise.
It's okay.
Okay, so I'm looking for someone. Okay.